What is branding? As creators, we want to think it's about us, our brilliant talent, our skills we perfected over the years, all these magical things: color, space, shape, tension, harmony, typography, beauty, simplicity. Then why do certain brands become great brands? Brands that connect, resonate, and spread like wildfire. It's because we tapped into our ability to see, not as ourselves, but as others. To see the minute details and trends others don't see, not just on the computer screen, or in books, or in galleries, but in and through the eyes, hearts, and minds of people. Geniuses have that special skill to look at the universe of people and translate that into the universe of visual and written communications, to transform those observations we each sense into something we can each tangibly see and understand. That is the magic. That is the spark. That is the genius that gets each of us interested and keeps us going for something greater, for something previously impossible, for something nobody ever thought of before. That is the magic of branding.
So we've officially started. So what's killing your brand? So this really is about a number of things. I want to point out, first of all, that of the CEOs that are here, that 72% of you are wrong. Straight out of the gate. This is an amazing statistic. I actually learned this from the Cannes Film Festival, from the actual, the international, sort of the Oscars of creative festivals, is that 80% of brands believe they deliver great consumer experiences. Here's the kicker. Only 8% of consumers agree. Whoa. That's like a stab in the heart. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty okay with math. That means that there's a 72% gap. That's like you're 3/4 wrong. It's not a great way to build a brand. Because if we're in the business of creating a brand, if we're in the business of actually creating something that's going to shift people's minds, move them from inaction to action, move them from complacency to, wait a second, everything isn't okay, and I need to do something different or make a different choice. And this, by the way, I want to be very, very clear. When we're talking about branding, when I'm talking about branding, this applies, everything I am talking about applies whether you're marketing a service, whether you're marketing a product, whether you're doing something for a nonprofit, whether you're doing something for a culture, whether you're doing something for a cause, it does not matter, because at the end of the day, there is a receipt point. That receipt point is called you and me. We are people. We have feelings. We have values. We give a damn. There are things that we love. There are things that we hate. It's very, very simple. So, with that, this is one great thing, independent of how badly, whoever was the hairstylist for Albert Einstein, that person should be shot. They did a terrible job, but Albert said some amazing things, and this is one of them, that we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Now, what I love about this is he acknowledges problems don't just show up at our front door uninvited. He very clearly says we cannot solve the problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. We're the ones that open the door when there is a problem. Something didn't go as planned. We didn't anticipate. We didn't extrapolate. We didn't have our plan A, plan B, plan C. And to me, if you actually have your plan B and your plan C worked into your plan A, you never need a plan B. That was pretty good, by the way. I mean, come on. That was all right? All right. So, what I put together for you, which is making its world premiere here in Fastvenia, is this: 10 facts to bulletproof your brand. 10 facts. And here's how it's going to roll out. So, Right here. Fact number one, your story's been hacked. It has been hacked. So what do I mean? If you don't give the market the story to talk about, they'll create that story for you. Too many brands are operating on autopilot. Too many companies, and I work with companies from startups to companies. The oldest company that I've ever worked with was 115 years old. That's a long time to do some really stupid things. If that was 115 years of doing very smart things, that would be amazing, but it wasn't. And so the basic thing is your public, your audience, they are not going to just sort of mentally understand your greatness. There's no such thing as brand karma. We did something good, therefore people will realize it. Telepathy is a really shitty strategy. You get the idea? You cannot rely on, wait a second, man, we've spent blood, sweat, and tears to make this thing something amazing, something great, something revolutionary. Well, good, work out your freaking story. And there's ways to do that, and that's what I'm going to go over with you today. All right, so how to stop selling shit. I wanted to be very, very classy in the presentation of this. Now, there's an interesting thing. There's these two things called sales and branding, and I love when I run into an organization, a company that's like the marketing and the sales, or it's like, hello, guys, you work for the same company. Get it together. Don't be dysfunctional. Now, for companies and groups that do not understand the difference between sales and branding, that's like going to a table and seeing a fork and a knife and not knowing and saying, they're on the table, they must just be used for the same thing. You're going to have a really lousy eating experience if you're using the fork to do what the knife should be doing and the knife should be doing what the fork should be doing. That would be a terrible thing to not understand that they each have their respective roles. Would you agree? These guys would agree. Would you guys agree? All right. So, the difference between branding and sales is simple. And by the way, how many people are familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk by a show of hands? Okay, how many people are not familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk? Just by a show of hands. Okay, Gary Vaynerchuk, he is an F-bombing, like, marketing dude out of New York. He's a Jersey dude. He's been very successful, New York Times author. He has a VaynerMedia, etc. He makes a lot of really good, solid points. He's very, very practical when it comes to this stuff. And this, I thought, was a great distinction. So we have the difference between branding and sales is simple. Are you trying to convert, or are you trying to create an experience? The latter always wins. Okay? Are you trying to convert, or are you trying to create an experience? The latter always wins. Now, why is that? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Transaction-based brands, they conclude the relationship. The transaction is what you build up toward. The transaction is after you have added value. The transaction is after you have shown, hey, here's the way things are today. They actually can be better. Here's what we're introducing. And here's why, and here's how, et cetera, et cetera. And this is because you are valuable. It's like, for example, you know, some of you or many of you will know about my book, right? Now, there are some inspirations as to why I wrote the book. I'll tell you why. Does it give you an idea of adding value? I love reading. I love insight. To me, I consider insight to be the ultimate shortcut. Not some little hack, not some little this that's going to like just give, you know, some little pill that's going to, you know, that came out of the butt of some weird creature that you're going to go, wow, its digestive enzymes are going to do something to me. I'm going to now like be the most amazing he or she of me that I could ever be. You know, it's not looking for something out there that's going to transform me. It was actually more of a matter of ownership. So I looked at books. I was really sick and tired of reading books that were 300-page business books to find that there was only 10 pages that had the good stuff. And then the other stuff was sort of lead up or extrapolation. It didn't add value to me. So, and similarly, how many of you have experienced this? I'm curious. I have watched, I'm a fan of TED Talks. How many people dig TED Talks? All right, cool. Have you ever found yourself to watch a TED Talk and you go, wow, that person delivered the most amazing 18 minutes. It turned my world inside out. I am blown away. And then you go ahead and you bought a book of theirs or whatever like that, and you got nothing more out of the book. How many people have ever found that to be the case? Okay, so you've experienced what I experienced. I was like, if they could do that in 18 minutes, they're going to blow my mind in a 200 or 300-page book, and then it wouldn't happen. The 18 minutes was it. They just shot their wad. That was a done deal. So I was sick and tired of that. So that's why I basically created this. This was after 30 years, 3 decades, that I put down just the stuff that always came up, that always needed to be worked out. So I wanted to add value. So transaction-based brands conclude relationships. The transaction is after. People wanted to buy that after they understood the problem that I was solving. Okay? Then what happens is this. Customer, whoops, I'm going to back up. I was so excited I just went nuts. So, bam. So transaction-based brands conclude relationships. And then we've got this little bad boy. That customer-based brands build relationships. Okay? You want to be in the customer build. You want to add value. You want to build relationships. The transaction will come. It will come. The great brands know that transactions are actually the beginning of your relationship, not the conclusion. 90+% of companies, once the transaction is done, they think that they've achieved something. No, that's the start. That is not the finish. That is the beginning. So if you know that, Amazon is famous for doing that. You know, they go, okay, they kind of spot your stuff and they go, hey, by the way, you bought blah, they might make some recommendations. They start building on that and leveraging that. So then we get into point number 3, which is know your enemy. You want to know your enemy. Now here's the deal. I'm getting my rhythm in with how sensitive this is. You know, it's kind of like a dance partner. You know, you want to lead the right way. So, great stories breathe, cliches suffocate. Cliches suffocate. They will suck the life out of your brand. Trust me, if you're using the same language, the same images, the same stuff, I don't care how great your brand or product is, because you have failed to actually own that story and export it in a way that's going to be meaningful to me. Because you and me, we have more choices, we have more options. We are one Google search away from having thousands or hundreds of thousands of options to choose from. Which one are we going to choose? Which one is going to elevate above all the other noise? Because there's always going to be the noise. There's never going to be a shortage with regard to noise. So, let's look at this. I put this together so you can really see. I want to have cliche clearly understood in your minds. This is vital. Okay, a phrase or opinion that is overused and betrays a lack of original thought. Betrays a lack of original thought. So if something isn't coming across as original, that means they've heard it before. And if you are the 25th or the 250th or the 1,000th time that they have heard best, greatest, most innovative, or here's the great one, the next Uber of. I mean, give me a break. How many times can you hear the next Uber of? You know, and think that, you know, it's like it doesn't penetrate anymore. It has no meaning. It's become too diluted. That's a cliche. Now, definition 2, very predictable or unoriginal thing. Very predictable. They saw it coming. They expected. That's like when you say, like you're pitching somebody, you say, why should you do business with us? Because we care. Because we have knowledgeable staff. I sure freaking hope so. You know, that's like saying, because we open at the hours that it says, you know, and we close at the hours that it says. You don't get rewarded for doing the ordinary. You don't get rewarded for doing the expected. And you don't get the reward for actually being just sort of one more player on the field. And I want you to notice what's on the bottom there. This applies, now oftentimes when I talk about cliches, people think to themselves, cliches, oh, okay, those are the phrases, those are the words. That's it. That's one part. One part. Your brand is multifaceted. Your brand has so many aspects to it. It's what people hear. It's what people feel. It's what people see. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to make a little confession. By the way, I'm just curious, how many people have been in the industry more than 10 years? Keep your hands raised. All right, now keeping your hands raised, how many people in more than 20? Keep your hands raised. More than 30? I don't even know who the hell I'm talking to anymore. Oh, my gosh. Okay, here's the deal. It's like I know this is going to come as a shock. I've been doing this for 36 years. When I got in the industry, I hope you're sitting down, there was no freaking internet. You went into your office, and you could Google this. It's in the history archives. You can Google this. There's things called drawing boards, T-squares, triangles. We use things called rapidographs. I'm not making that up. I'm serious. This is not like some sci-fi thing. Rapidograph. You can look it up. I'm serious. Rapidograph. We use anyway, so there was no social media. There wasn't anybody to share my story with. Wasn't any followers for me to check. If I actually wanted to meet an influencer, I had to do something revolutionary. I had to pick up the freaking phone. And for those of you, I mean, just based on the amount of hands raised, you may or may not know this, there were phones well before there were smartphones, well before there was Siri. There was a phone that not only had buttons, there was a phone before that, it had a rotary dial. It was our form of entertainment. It was incredible. It was the first version. It was YouTube version 1.0. You kind of watched the thing rotate back. It was awesome. Especially when you did 9. Because, whoa, look at that. That was incredible, right? All right. So the thing is, you know, the reason I tell you that little bit of history was back when I was first designing brands, designing brochures and posters and all kinds of material for clients in New York City, I had to look through portfolios. I had to look through actual samples of work. It wasn't just a matter of looking for something online. Because what happened when the internet entered into our industry, here's what happened. All of a sudden, someone who was someone's secretary, who just was maybe typing something, all of a sudden, you are now the editor of our corporate newsletter, or you're now in charge of promotion because you can type. So they had no design skill, they had no understanding of marketing, no understanding of branding, etc. And then what happens is they go online and they find royalty-free artwork. And for whatever reason, everybody picks the stupid smiling faces where someone, you know, it's like if they're selling a computer or some crap, right? So they go, it's like all of a sudden everyone picks the, you know, or you're looking lovingly at it like it's a newborn. It's not a freaking newborn. It's a computer device. But everybody would do that with it. It's like, and so there was a period, it was a very dark period in marketing and branding and brands overall where everything looked a lot the same. And this thing called cliches reached its ultimate low point. Everybody's using the same crap, going to the same sources because they were doing the same, oh wow, all of a sudden they didn't have to make calls. They actually could do this thing online. And now by today's standards it would be intolerable, but they could actually type in a word and wait 7 minutes for the search results to come back. That was dial-up, guys. That was dial-up. Okay. So, with this, if you're using cliches to promote your brand, you're promoting your category, not your brand. Now, that was so good, I'm going to show it to you again. It goes like this. If you're using cliches to promote your brand, you're promoting your category, not your brand. Now, you want to get that. If you are using the same language as all of your competitors, they're going to think of your industry. if you're going to say best of breed, if you're going to say next generation, if you're going to say the Uber of, and everybody else in your industry is saying the same stuff, thank you for promoting your industry. But they're not going to recognize you because you're not going to have a unique voice. You're not going to be recognized. You know, and this kind of stuff, it's like, why would I put my name at the bottom of here? Because there are people I already knew who were going to be like, wait a second, that's a pretty damn cool quote. I'm going to take a photograph of that and share it on social media. Yes, I'm a shameless promoter. Absolutely. But I'm owning it. I know it. It's like, this is an important thing. I have made companies millions of dollars with this one law alone. Every day, millions of dollars are made by clients around the world applying just this. Every day, 7 days a week. So, cliches are the enemy. Okay? It's not, if you're in sales, it's not the marketing, and if you're in marketing, it's not the sales, and it's like, enough of the baby crap, okay? You're not in a sandbox. That's just old school, stupid crap. That's not the way to grow a brand. Which brings us to point number 4, which is mastering your art. So, with all this said, now that we know who the enemy is, we need a definition for branding. And you saw the first video, the what is branding? Amazing. I mean, people just loved that and went crazy. And part of the inspiration of that was this. I went to Amazon.com. I was curious. I typed in the word branding, and I looked under books. And this is about 6 years ago. Over 6,000 books came back. 6,000 titles. I was shocked. Now, this is not romance. This is not legal thrillers. This is not like a, sort of vampire fantasy stuff. This is a specific tool to help grow businesses. Over 6,000 books. I was shocked. And most recently, I looked again, it's over 8,300 now. And one thing I've learned over the course of my career is when there are a lot of different opinions about particular things, about one particular thing, what will happen is this. There's a missing fundamental that they haven't all gotten on the same page about. And that was where I ended up coming up. Oh, and I figured it out. With the 8,300 books or whatever like that, if you read one book a day, it would take you over 22 years. So I can either stop the presentation here and let you start your reading, or I could show you a 4-word definition. Which would you prefer? How many want 4 words? Okay. How many want to do the 22 years? All right. Holy crap. Wow. We got one taker. That's amazing. All right. So, it's this. And this is going to drive the point home. Which bottle did you notice first? Everyone notices the green one, except you notice the fact that it's a 3-to-1 ratio. You should have noticed the amber ones first. So why was that? It's because of this particular fact. Branding is 4 words, the art of differentiation. The art of differentiation. If what you're doing actually differentiates your brand, it is branding. And it may be the type of voice that your brand is associated with. It may be the look and the graphics. It may be the style of illustration. It may be using illustration when everybody else is using photography. It may be going minimal when everyone's noisy. And it's not a matter of doing it reactively, like, oh, everyone's doing this, therefore we're going to do the opposite. It's using that insight to now navigate your course of action. And this, I have never shared on the world stage before, but here it is. I'm showing you this. There's just 23 of them. There's more. 23 key differentiators. Check this out. Color, language, typography, visual style, design, photography, illustration, sound, packaging material, scent, smell, tactile, feel, culture, attitude of your brand. What's the attitude of your brand? Are you conservative? Are you cool? Are you angry? Are you rebellious? Are you defiantly conservative? You know? Brand position, values. What are your values? I will tell you right now, any brand that actually is about the values of the audience it is to serve will outperform any other company in that industry. Nike was created by a sports enthusiast. Steve Jobs was a user experience junkie. He valued every detail. If you are about those values that the audience you're serving, you will be unstoppable. Predictability. What's your predictability? Are you predictably great? Are you predictably sometimes you're on and sometimes you're off? Are you predictably unreliable? Some brands are. We all have experienced it. We've experienced, damn, sometimes when I order a product from that company, it's amazing. And other times it's, how lucky do you feel that day, right? Channels of media. Your channels of media are choices. Okay? Media choices, voice, sensory experience, expectation, reputation, user experience, wearables. Are you cool? Are you hip? Are you casual? You're overly formal? What's the deal? A 5-star hotel is going to have their employees dressed a particularly different way than someplace that's kind of like urban, like for the mobile citizen, dude. Hey, man, how's it going, bro? So now we get to 5. Now this is very interesting. This only happened about a month ago. I happened upon this. I'm not the first person to come up with this, be the verb. I discovered that there were a few other people that kind of talked about this concept, but I saw it in a little post that I was reading, and I found this interesting. And then I put it on LinkedIn, and it kind of went a little, it was kind of like went a little viral on LinkedIn, and people started really digging it. And I just wanted to share it for you because I thought that it was useful. It's about a minute and a half long, but it's very, very powerful, and it absolutely can apply not only to your brand personally, but also you can apply this to your company that you work with or that is yours or whatever. And here is that little guy. Be the verb.
Oftentimes, when someone's asked, what do you do for a living? We answer with the noun. We answer with, I'm a builder, I'm a designer, I'm a cook. Next time, instead of answering with a noun, answer with a verb, an action. So instead of, I'm an actor, you could answer, I entertain people. Instead of, I'm a designer, you can answer, I help businesses grow. Go from being the noun to being the verb. People, for whatever reason, seem to be able to understand and grasp outcomes of what you do rather than your description of what you think your role is in the world. Go from being the noun to being the verb. And let me know what happens.
So the response to this was fantastic, and it was rather amazing. But I will tell you, I find more companies make this mistake, especially when you ask them for something simple, and they give you this roundabout, well, we're in the business of helping companies do blah, 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 da, 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 da. It's like, what the, if I wanted like a sort of a puzzle to put together, I would have gone out and gotten a puzzle. What's the outcome? We're in the outcome business. If you're working with any type of a brand, you're in the outcome business. People don't care about how, they care about what's the outcome. What are you making possible? Are you going to give me the most amazingly comfortable shoes that I've ever worn? Or are you going to tell me how, well, we work with leather and we work with synthetics so as to formulate and do this and da-da-da-da-da. It's like, excuse me, you've lost me like into the third syllable. So streamline it, really simple. Be the verb. It's a really powerfully simple thing. I will tell you, when you're kind of sitting and talking with somebody, or even amongst yourselves, if you're in a marketing committee or you have your group that's responsible for the brand, and it starts getting complicated and everyone's eyes are going, ugh, and it's filled with a crap load of cliches, just what do you say, guys? What the hell? What do? We change lives. We shift thinking. We alter outcomes. We excite drivers. Just keep it simple. And you'll find that that's an incredibly powerful foundation upon which to build more. Make sense? All right. So, the silent death of indifference. I love this. I love this. How much do I love this? I'll tell you. It's like this. These are the 3 most powerful words in the world. Incredible. These are the 3 most powerful words in the world. I love you. Now, the other 3 most powerful words in the world? I hate you. I mean, doesn't it suck when someone says, I hate you, and you're kind of like, for that rest of that day, you're like, what did I do? You know? What went wrong? But with as powerful as these are, there's one that will kill your brand faster than anything else. And these are the 3 most deadly words in the world. And they are these. Do not have middle sucks. Average sucks. You'll be much more successful, even if you're divisive, to have something, we stand for this. We have our conviction on this. We are all in on this. And it's okay to have some people who hate you. Big shitting deal. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Because there's always going to be people who disagree. So what? If you're doing more right and you know what your outcome is, who gives a damn? But I don't care. To have indifference would be the worst outcome. What's going to be worse? You putting out a campaign where you get 70% people love what you said and 30% hate what you said. Or you have the same campaign or a similar campaign come out and 90% don't even care what you said. What's the worst scenario? The first or the second? The second. Because you're just falling on deaf ears. So, you do not want indifference. Have conviction. Be all in. Do not, this tentative crap, I will tell you, well, I'm going to get into that at the end. I'm going to talk about tentative crap, okay? It's like, that's not an American thing in case you're like, wow, do all Americans talk that way? No, not really. Not. But, yeah, but it's just, you will see. You'll see how this all comes together. So I want to point out the fact that technology sucks. Now, just by a show of hands, I want to know how many nerds are here? How many nerds? Okay. All right, a few of you are brave enough to raise your hands. I think there are more nerds that you're holding back. So here's the deal. I find it very, very interesting. Technology is a very, very interesting thing. It's obviously part of our lives. And so let's see what we got. Now, the interesting thing, I actually make reference to the fact that the pencil was the original computer. See, when I interview someone today and they come in and they show me, well, I can do Keynote and I could do PowerPoint, and I could do Photoshop and I could do Illustrator. I said, that's fine. Now, here's a pencil, show me what you can do. I really believe in the skill of being able to do it. Good. And so the thing is the thing you want to understand is the pencil was the original computer, okay? And I say that because it's like that computer didn't do anything. The computer doesn't do anything more for you than you brought to it. So where that brings us is this. All right. I told you technology sucks. I told you. So it brings us really to this point. That the microphone didn't make the Beatles sound good. And there's one more point to that. This guy's he's making me work for this particular, the buttons are sticking is what's happening. So we've got, the microphone didn't make the Beatles sound good, okay? The Beatles made the microphone sound good. Don't misassign where the talent lies. It's not like, wow, man, Photoshop can make me do blah, blah, blah. No, it can't make you do crap. You're making Photoshop do stuff. You're making Illustrator do stuff. So just own your part, your role in the game of creating a brand. Now, with regard to this, sticky button, that's what's happening. So, from practitioner to genius, this is pivotal. I'm gonna jam through this, man. So right here, practitioner, professional, genius. I want you to understand the difference here. The practitioner has low value. The professional, moderate value. The genius, high value. Now, I'm going to explain why that is. Because what we have, I'm sorry, we ended up with, did you just change something or was that me? Okay, let's try that again. There we are. Good. Commodity, product, brand. Those are your outcomes. The practitioner is going to create a commodity. The professional is create a product. The genius is going to create a brand. It's because of what they put into it. By the way, the amount of talent can be quite comparable between the practitioner, the professional, and the genius, but it's one other factor that makes the difference, and it works like this. This battery might be dying. This battery might be dying. There we go. Expectations. So, check this out.
Expectation. It's the devil. The same devil that's in the details. Yet when one sees a brand, one that rises above the noise and clamor, we wonder, how did they do that? What insights did they have that the rest of us missed? It comes down to something special. Skills. Skills we discover in inspired leadership, plus an unusual attention to details, and an ability to see where things intersect, and how to transform those intersections into something new, something inspired, something beyond expectation. So why do some of us fail in exceeding expectation? The problem lies in doing what's expected, whereas it's the unexpected that lies in those details, that anticipates our next need. That leaves us wondering, how did they know that? Only then do we excel, which itself is the foundation of excellence. This expected is what we learned yesterday. Yet it's the unexpected that gives each of us and our brands our tomorrow.
So that brings us to this point. So we've already gone over practitioner, professional, genius, low value, moderate value, etc. Now let's look at what happens. So the practitioner, what they produce, it meets what's expected. Any brand, any service, any vendor, whatever it works, it meets what's expected. It didn't exceed it, it delivered it. And it was good, and it was great. It was all cool, but the thing is that it didn't go beyond that. That's all it did. And then, what do we have? The professional slightly exceeds expectations. Okay? But the genius greatly exceeds expectations. So the thing is that you and I have all experienced the great product where, how did they know that? You know, the user experience was right, it anticipated where we were at, etc. That's the difference between, you don't want to be in the first two columns. Not really, not by design. So that's the whole thing. And then on top of this, here's the mind blower. price-driven, feature-driven, value-driven. If you're competing on price, I will tell you, you're just meeting what's expected. If your brand is actually, if you're just doing features, you're going to get more buy-in. Price is not going to be as driven. But if you take value, the products, the brands that are value, that's where it actually comes in. This is gold. This will make you and your brands millions of dollars right here. Now, so with that, we get into this. The primary difference between the commodity, the product, and the brand is the amount of future calculated into each aspect of the brand and the value it provides to the good. The amount of future. The amount of future. It's not like, wait a second, this one had more talent, this one did it. No. The amount of future. Got it. So, now, we're in the transportation business. Now, transportation, yes, but more so, it's actually a matter of transformation. And just to give you some ideas, this is some befores and afters, just to show you. By the way, some people end up going, wow, you're a really great strategist. Who do you have design your stuff? Look, you're talking to them, okay? I develop the designs, I develop the stories, I do all the various things. I work on the brands, I work on the stories, I get in there, I get my fingernails dirty. So this is where they were before, okay? Afterward, this is where they actually ended up. The first year, they saw a 300% increase in sales. The next year, another 300%. Over the course of 24 months, 900% increase. Okay? That's what the packaging ended up looking like. It broke all tradition for this industry. It broke all cliches. Because these are shortbread cookies, which are definitely British. It's a British sort of thing that you have with tea. This is very uncivilized. Not civilized, not tea. This is a company out of Finland. I have no idea why they came up with Snowbot, but the bottom line is they serve media companies and they help them make a lot of freaking money. So this is the new brand. New name, new brand. And this is what this now looks like. Okay, new customers, new income, new channels, new growth. Revenue 360. Big difference between Snowbot. Regeneration facial oil. We discovered that facial oil was not something that women understood. So what happened was, this became the new name. 7-Day Glow. Beauty naturally restored. And this shows you from this to this. Simply Snackin'. I don't know why there's a hummingbird in this logo. Okay, this is do you guys have beef jerky? Do you know what beef jerky is? Yeah? So that's a beef jerky. I didn't know if it was an American weird thing that we did over there. But this is actually the new brand. And this was their old brand. Somehow they were selling product. I don't know how. But this is what was done after. That's the difference. This is now these are some amazing chocolate. I love great, amazing chocolate. These are handmade chocolate truffles. This is what they ended up having. And what happens here, this is the before, this was the after. Now I want you to understand something. This is insane what happened here. This is a boutique store, one store, the same people coming in every month. And this came out, and all that happened was these were on the back panel in the actual store. There were no new sexy people standing in front. There were no new flavors, no new prices, no change of hours, no change of actual signage, no promotions, nothing new, nothing different, no flavors, nothing, zero. Only these boxes in the back. What happened after 30 days? I went to the owner, I said, what happened? He told me the sales of truffles tripled 300% in 30 days. Because people all of a sudden saw something different that made them stand up, and they can actually gift this as a gift. It was amazing what happened. And then, on top of that, we have American Dance Institute, and this is what was done afterward. And then this is how the world now began to see them. And then with this, you have this as far as, this is Belly Barbecue. It was a sauce, but it was horrible, horrible package as far as that. This is the new one. And then, this is how he told the world this message. And then you see this as far as how to actually show it to the world. Instant kitchen redemption in a bottle. And this shows you the before of the packaging. It was nuts. It was a mess. I could tell you more about it later, but I'm running out of time, so I don't want to screw up the schedule. This is the after. Okay? The before, the after. They've already been offered, people have already offered to buy the company just based on the new rebrand. And this side by side, so you see it, that's the difference. Which one conveys value to you? And this is how we're actually launching it to the bloggers. You want to figure out your channels, how to break through. The 3 flavors are showing up in this wooden box. It's insane. It's insane. It's impractical. I love impractical. Impractical rocks because it's unexpected. And then lastly, I want to talk about the bullshit of humility, which is why I know all of you came here today. You were like, you know, man, if I could just get rid of this bullshit of humility, my life would be better. I'm sure that's what you were thinking. So the thing is I want you to choose a partner. Get like someone next to you, all right? Get someone next to you because it's going to be real fast, very, very quick. And I want you to tell that person, look them in the eye. I want you to tell them, I'm really kind of a big deal. Go, real quick. You got 30 seconds. All right. Boom. Done. Done. Now, here's the next thing. I want you to look the same person in the eye. Tell each other, I'm kind of average, mediocre at best. All right. Done. Humility sucks. Repeat after me. Humility sucks. I didn't hear you. What? It does. It does. Humility is bullshit, okay? It really is bullshit. It's not going to do anything for you. It's not going to do anything for you. It doesn't mean being conceited, but it does mean saying, you know what? I am all in, and I have the conviction, and I've done everything I possibly can to make it good for you. Now, with that, I wanted to come here. I wanted to help you overcome obscurity. I wanted to help you actually eliminate anonymity, and I wanted to help you crush mediocrity. And with that, I have this final message.
The power of ideas. They can make us smile. They can make us cry. They can inspire action. They can conquer defeat. They can launch a movement or stop us in our tracks. Sometimes they're big. Sometimes they're small. They can make us just do it, or make us think different, or feel the infatuation of youth, or make us as stubborn as a mule. Yet their only power lies in us. As branders, we live to usher in the future, not stroke the past. While it might ruffle some feathers, it often can advance culture. But whether it's a life, or a brand, or an inspiration, it comes down to an idea, which then ripples to agitate more ideas. We call this ROI, Return on Ingenuity. And this ingenuity is what separates the remarkable from the commodity, or the disruptor from the also-ran. But there's a trap to avoid: success and failure. We must realize neither success nor failure is permanent. They are themselves fleeting and transient. It's because the biggest mistake occurs when we stop at either of these points. If we succeed and stop, we've lost, because any forward momentum will shrivel up, since its source of power, us, is no longer feeding it with life, dreams, goals, and energy. If, on the other hand, we ran into an obstacle and stopped, a little hiccup becomes the end of a dream. So it's stopping that is the culprit. So when introducing ideas into the world, remember this: stopping is never the right option, and is, in fact, the only thing that can ever defeat us in branding, in creating, in life.